All right, guys, we're going to start the show here very, very soon. Like and share the show. Like and share the show. Jim Ryan under fire again. Is the fire justified, though? Is the fire justified? That's a question I have for you. The Department of Justice wants Jim Ryan to resign. Jude, are you and I going to have different take on this? Are you saying the Department of Justice is justified here?
I think they might be trying to help the Board of Visitors out of a pinch.
Oh, I'm very curious of that take. Is this Ken Cuccinelli behind the scenes?
I don't know about that.
The pinch meaning the board doesn't get the fallout of terminating Jim Ryan?
Yeah.
Where'd you read this? Jefferson Council?
No, there was, I believe it was Chris Graham made an interesting point about the fact that the Board of Visitors could, if they wanted to, just get rid of Jim Ryan.
They could. Right. Like and share the show, guys. We're going to rock and roll on the Friday edition of the show. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. Take a look at the screen for today's headlines. A lot we're going to cover on the program today. Bounce Play and Create, after 15 years, is closing its doors. That is another locally owned and operated business, Judah, closing its doors. Mm-hmm. You confirmed that we're live on LinkedIn, if you could. I'll confirm YouTube. Are we live on the group?
Yep.
Fantastic. I'll confirm LinkedIn. In fact, I think I have it open right here. Viewers and listeners, join us in the discussion. The last show for a couple of weeks as the I Love CVille show is on vacation. Looking forward to connecting with you guys today. All right, Judah Wickower, yours truly, Jerry Miller. On the Friday edition, the last day of the week. Wow, this week has flown by. We're live on YouTube. Yes, we are. Fantastic. You're doing a great job, Judah. I sincerely mean that. Which headline most intrigues you and why?
I mean, the ongoing...
Jim Ryan can't catch a break.
Yeah.
Some of it his own doing.
No doubt.
This, do you think it's his doing, though? Deep Throat, we'll get to your comment here.
I think this is a lot of politics.
This is politics. This is a mess. We're going to talk about it today. Goodness gracious, we never fail to have content in this community. I mean, it's just absolutely bananas how a town this little continues to offer content. All right, we can rock and roll. Do we have the photos from the brewery yesterday on West Main Street?
Let me see.
I sent them to you via Facebook message. You should still have them saved. I got some more insight into that I can offer. All right, let's rock and roll. You have those, should have those photos.
Yeah, I've got them.
Fantastic. All right, let's rock and roll when you're ready. I'm going to want to put those photos on screen. All right, let's do it when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. It's great to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network on a busy afternoon for news in our studio in downtown Charlottesville. A lot we're going to cover on the program. We have the Department of Justice, that is, the DOJ is flexing their muscle trying to get Jim Ryan to resign. They are leveraging federal funding to get the president of the University of Virginia to resign. Is this overstep? Is this overreach? Is this the Department of Justice, basically acting within its power and capabilities? How will the University of Virginia respond? The New York Times, in a report yesterday, has much of the University of Virginia community in a sense of uncertainty, some in a fit of rage. Others basically saying this was brewing and breeding for some time. as the University of Virginia seems to be doing the three-card Monty, the hustler on the corner of Midtown and Manhattan with a cardboard box and a little white ball under 3 cups, doing the do-si-do, trying to hustle tourists out of a $100 bill, with the University of Virginia rebranding or redirecting diversity, equity, and inclusion under different monikers, despite pressure from the Board of Visitors, despite pressure from the governor, despite pressure from Trump's administration to eradicate diversity, equity, and inclusion in totality from Thomas Jefferson's University. Some have said that all they're doing is rebranding DEI and not eradicating it. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, Trump's administration has the University of Virginia under investigation by the DOJ for continuing diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, despite President Trump saying no more. We're going to talk about this today. The University of Virginia has issued a response. Judah Wickhauer has a take. I have a take. Curious of what your take is, the viewer and listener. This show is interactive. We want you, the viewer and listener, to offer perspective on this topic. We'll talk on today's show, ladies and gentlemen, Bounce, Play, and Create, closing after 15 years in Seminole Square. This has had a handful of different owners, Bounce, Play, and Create. The current owners have announced on Instagram that they are officially closing. 15 years, is that iconic status?
Pretty darn close.
It may not be the exact definition of iconic, but 15 years is a generation of serving the Charlottesville community. And Bounce, Play, and Create is now closing. We'll talk about that. How about this crazy story? The rats are taking over the courthouse.
Yeah.
This is like Ratatouille in the kitchen. Rats are taking over the newly built courthouse and are closing the courthouse potentially until the rat infestation is under control. We'll talk about that today. There's a petition to save Kroger. This boggles my mind. Are people that infatuated with Kroger, that in love with the hydraulic Kroger, that a petition is needed? Why not just go to Rio Hill or Barracks Road to do your grocery shopping? Now, I'm saying this as someone who does not do grocery shopping for his family unit. So if I'm incorrect or wrong here, let me know. A lot we're going to cover on the program. We remind the viewers and listeners, I've touched on this in previous shows, but it's in the headline rundown. Heading out of town to the beach for a vacation. We'll be back in the saddle on Monday, July 14th. So the I Love CVille Network taking a well-earned respite and vacation until Monday, July 14th. And when we return, you will see some new talent infused into the I Love CVille Network. Very excited for that new talent. A lot we're going to cover on the show. I have 2 story items that did not make the rundown. One of them, Virginia tennis alum Chris Rodish, a 2024 graduate, has earned a spot in the main draw of the Wimbledon Tennis Championships. He's currently ranked 163 in the world. He earned his position in the main draw by winning 3 matches in a qualifying tournament. This is pretty monumental news. The 34th Wimbledon main draw appearance for the Virginia men's tennis program. Rodish becomes the 10th different Cavalier to play in Wimbledon's main draw. So when Wimbledon starts, ladies and gentlemen, on the 30th, which is Monday, you have a UVA tennis player in the draw in 2024 graduate, Chris Rodish, and I wish him the best of luck. Another piece of news that did not make the rundown. I showed photos yesterday of Blue Ridge Brewery, the first brewery in Charlottesville history, photos from 1989. Can you put those photos on screen? These photos that are on screen now, are they on screen now?
Yep.
Take a look at the screen. 1989 Blue Ridge Brewery, the first brewery in Charlottesville and in Central Virginia. It has since closed. This location on West Main Street is where Star Hill was founded. This is Blue Ridge Brewery and Restaurant in 1989. These photos were published. I learned this after the show from Dave Warwick, who's the brewmaster of Three Notched. He sent me this message. He says, first, the show was fantastic, as always, Jerry. I say, thank you, Dave. Dave, you make some of the best beer, not just in Virginia, not just on the East Coast, but in the world. I sincerely mean that, Dave Warwick. He says, Jerry, just thought you might be interested in knowing that Charlie Papazian, I'm going to go with Papazian, Dave, is the founder of the Brewers Association. He's one of the very biggest, if not the biggest, name in American craft beer. Until he retired recently, if you won a medal at the World Beer Cup or the Great American Beer Festival, you shook his hand, the highest honor for a brewer. Even cooler that he went to the University of Virginia and he shared the story of Blue Ridge Brewery on social media. So I want to highlight what happened here. I saw these photos circulating on social media, 1989 Blue Ridge Brewery, the first brewery in Charlottesville. I talked about these photos on yesterday's show. After yesterday's show, I got a direct message from Dave Warwick, who's the brewmaster at Three Notch. He's a friend of mine. He's an A-plus guy, one of the most stand-up guys you will ever meet, ever, Dave Warwick. Diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, diehard Saved by the Bell fan, diehard 90210 fan, knows pop culture like the Pope knows holy water, Dave Warwick. He sends me a direct message, and he says, the man who published these photos is a UVA graduate and the founder of the Brewers Association, the guy legitimately who you shake his hand when you win a national beer award as a brewer. He also highlights that this Charlie guy has recently retired. Papizan, I'm butchering the last name as I butcher most people's last names on this program. It's Judah Whitecower today and Jerry Millerstein. So I want to thank Dave for the background on this, and I'm grateful and feel honored that someone of Dave's caliber is even watching the program, and I sincerely mean that, my friend. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Studio camera and a two-shot, please. Judah Whitecower. Judah Whitecower, I kid because I care. Good God, so much to cover, dude. Not enough space in the rundown. You're going to have, first of all, maybe Judah's most important headline that's on screen. He's going to have a hiatus from me for a couple of weeks, and somewhere inside Judah is singing a song of happiness.
I'm sure there will be daily, if not hourly, if not minute-by-minute phone calls.
He kids, but not really. It will certainly be daily check-ins on work production. If not, probably every 3-hour request for FaceTime on work production. But that is the nature of business ownership. Headline most intriguing to you, is it Jim Ryan?
It's pretty close to my most...
Dude can't catch a break.
He can't catch a break. And this may be, this could be a push to get something done before we get a new governor. We'll set the stage for this story in T-minus 90 seconds. We want to give some love to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 61 years in business. John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion are the creme de la creme. The Vermillion family is 4 generations in Albemarle County, and their family business, Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, is 3 generations long. East High Street, the physical location, and online at Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. This business is a special, special business. Support the businesses that you want to see survive. As yet another business is closing, this one, Bounce, Play, and Create. We'll get to that story in a matter of moments. I also want to highlight what we're doing with Charlottesville Business Brokers. If you are on the cusp of closing your business, the cusp of retiring, or if you're doing extremely well and you want to cash out with your business, Charlottesville Business Brokers, our firm, a division of the Miller organization, is who you want to contact. More than $4 million in business transactions over the last 24 months. We're working on a business right now, ladies and gentlemen, where the seller's willing to carry some paper, paying himself well north of $500,000 in the home services category. He's got a boatload of branded vehicles and a lot of upside with the business. Now, before you start DMing me and saying, I want more information, a non-disclosure agreement is going to be signed, proof of financials.
before I provide you anything from my client. But this is as good a business as I've ever sold. And it's at a $2.5 million asking price. He will carry paper on a 10-year term at a fixed interest rate, and there will be a lease back. But the upside on this purchase is significant. Charlottesville Business Brokers, online at charlottesvillebusinessbrokers.com. I'm going to set the stage for Jim Ryan. I mean, if you have a photo of Jim Ryan before he took office at UVA and a photo of Jim Ryan right now, you will see a man that is extremely weathered, a man that has been whittled down like a number 2 pencil following the SATs. Okay? Now, this is a national headline, if not a global headline. This is in the effing New York Times.
Yep.
This is the most prominent paper, some would say, in the world. I push back on that and say the most prominent paper in the world is the Wall Street Journal. I say maybe even in the number 2 slot is the Financial Times, New York Times in the 3 slot, but still some people say the New York Times is the most prominent paper in the world. And according to a report yesterday in the New York Times, the Department of Justice is more than pressuring. They are bullying the University of Virginia to pink slip Jim Ryan or risk losing federal funding. This is a monumental story. The story gets even more significant or even more clouded, the dynamic even more soap opera-esque with
when you find out that the 2 of the people who are behind this new push are part of the U.S. Attorney General Office of Civil Rights. They are a pair of UVA law graduates. One of them defended a Jewish student who had alleged that he was getting bombarded with anti-Semitic remarks, among other things, threats potentially, and also was behind Morgan Bettinger getting an undisclosed settlement from the university after her whatever you want to call the university's lack of action to help her out.
Listen to this, guys. Listen to this, Judah. Listen to this, viewers and listeners. Donald Trump's administration is pressuring the University of Virginia, and it's utilizing 2 UVA law graduates to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has 2 UVA law graduates doing the dirty work to shit can a UVA president because Trump doesn't like the fact that his edict of eradicating and eviscerating diversity, equity, inclusion has not been followed. Not only has Trump offered that edict, but the Board of Visitors have also demanded that his edict of eradicating and eviscerating diversity, equity, inclusion has not been followed. Not only has Trump offered that edict, but the Board of Visitors have also demanded that diversity, equity, and his edict of eradicating and eviscerating diversity, equity, inclusion has not been followed. Not only has Trump offered that edict, but the Board of Visitors have also demanded that diversity, equity, and inclusion be eradicated from the University of Virginia. We are hearing and it's no secret that to shit can a UVA president because Trump doesn't like the fact that his edict of eradicating and eviscerating diversity, equity, inclusion has not been followed. Not only has Trump offered that edict, but the Board of Visitors have also demanded that diversity, equity, and inclusion be eradicated from the University of Virginia. We are hearing the Jefferson Council is reporting, and it's no secret that to shit can a UVA president because Trump doesn't like the fact that his edict of eradicating and eviscerating diversity, equity, and inclusion has not been followed. Not only has Trump offered that edict, but the Board of Visitors have also demanded that diversity, equity, and inclusion be University of Virginia. Mm-hmm. We are hearing, the Jefferson Council is reporting that DEI is just being to shit can a UVA president because Trump doesn't like the fact that his edict of eradicating and eviscerating diversity, equity, and inclusion has not been followed. Not only has Trump offered that edict, but the Board of Visitors